Religion has had immense influence throughout human history. But what actually is religion? Nowadays, when we think of religion, we usually think of religions with universal, all-encompassing rules such as Islam, Christianity, and Buddhism. But in fact, most ancient religions were local and exclusive. Such religions had no interest in spreading their beliefs to the rest of humanity, or in a singular god. They often believed in many local deities, ghosts, spirits, rituals, and all manner of things. Furthermore, many religions such as Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism have no gods at all. There are also many people that consider themselves religious, but do not believe their religious scriptures to be literally true, but rather think that the stories presented in scripture relay timeless metaphorical truths about humanity. Suffice to say, the term religion encompasses quite a few things, and so even though we might have an intuitive understanding of what it means, there is no consensus on the precise meaning of the word. However, usually, a religion has its own ethical code, worldview, texts, rules, rituals, supernatural elements, and it also requires some degree of faith. What propels a society towards religion is not completely known either. However, generally as the economic and political stability of society increases, the influence of religion decreases. This brings out the question, do we need religion? Is it a necessary part of the human condition? Is it a force for good? It certainly wasn't for many West Africans living in the 15th to 18th centuries who were taken as slaves by European powers and brought to areas all over the world, a practice which was justified for the most part by religion. Indeed, that is far from the only time religion has been used to justify slavery. In 1786, Thomas Jefferson asked an ambassador of Tripoli how the Islamic Barbary state of Tripoli justified attacking and enslaving American sailors off the North African coast. He summarised the ambassador's response as such: "It is written in our Quran, and so we do it." It isn't difficult to find examples throughout history of various religions being used to justify doing horrible deeds. In the case of Catholicism, at the turn of the millennium, Pope John Paul II apologised for 94 crimes committed by the Church throughout its history, including injustices towards women, the forced conversions of indigenous peoples, the Crusades, the Inquisition, and also the silence of the Church during Hitler's final solution. Theoretical physicist Steven Weinberg once said, "With or without religion, good people can behave well and bad people can do evil. But for good people to do evil, that takes religion." This sentiment is shared by a large and growing number of modern critics of religion. Many defenders of religion argue that those atrocities weren't committed because of religion, but rather despite it. Sure, religion has been used to justify evil deeds, but it has also inspired great deeds. Take the case of the British slave trade. The strongest force for bringing an end to the trade was Christianity, a religion. Politicians like William Wilberforce, who fought for decades to abolish the slave trade, appealed to the Christian argument that everyone has a soul and all souls are equal before God. Religion has also inspired developments in education. In ancient India, the most learned men were residents of Buddhist and Hindu monasteries, and many of these monasteries later evolved into universities. Other universities, particularly in the United States and Europe, were built by Christian denominations to educate their followers. But the question remains, how does religion affect the individual person, and therefore society as a whole? The recent Oxford and Cambridge Pew Research Centre study into the effects of religion on the daily lives of Americans tried to answer that question. The study found that highly religious people gather more with extended family, are more likely to donate money, time or goods to the poor, and are on average happier. These differences in behaviour persist even when controlling for factors including age, income and education. However, it is worth noting that the results of the study were based on self-reporting. For many people, religion is not just a set of beliefs, but a way of living. When Christians were asked to check which traits did they consider to be essential parts of being a Christian, unsurprisingly, the most commonly checked answer was believing in God. However, the second most commonly checked answer was being grateful for what you have. So it seems that religion can, in the right circumstances, encourage positive traits and behaviours. However, in other cases, religion has led to unnecessary conflict. For example, in Northern Ireland, there has been an ongoing conflict between different denominations of Christianity, namely Protestants and Catholics, for more than 400 years. As a result of this, in Northern Europe, which is generally characterised by its progressive politics, low levels of poverty, and high quality of education, Northern Ireland is known as being unusual due to its relatively high rates of unemployment, poverty, violent crime, and segregation. Many think that without religion, both society and its individuals would descend into chaos. Nietzsche's famous quote, "God is dead, and we have killed him," is often taken out of context, as to be Nietzsche gloating over the death of religion in Europe. In reality, it's more like a warning of what happens when religion is taken away. Nietzsche feared that without religion, nihilism, or the belief that absolutely nothing has meaning, would take hold. And so many people might stop caring for society, one another, and even themselves. And it may be true that in the modern developed world, more people than ever search for a deeper meaning because they do not feel that they have one. On the other hand, critics of religion argue that not only is religion not necessary, but it can also make people irrational, and, if they feel it is justified by their religious beliefs, willfully blind to human suffering. In the words of the neuroscientist and philosopher Sam Harris, religious believers state the evils of contraception and homosexuality, without ever feeling the need to consider that whether doing so sometimes causes suffering too. Other critics of religion, like scholar Regina Schwartz, argue that religion naturally leads to violence and that cases where it doesn't are the exception, not the rule. Many defenders of religion, however, strongly disagree. They argue that religion is inherent to human nature, and that taking it away would take from us the ability to understand much of human history, as well as ourselves. J. Milton Yinger said, "Beneath all these attacks on organised religion, there is a more fundamental target, the spirituality of man and your own basic spiritual nature." So what do you think? Do we need religion? Is it an inseparable part of humanity, or is it something we need to overcome? Perhaps you'll consider letting us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Our mission is to inform as well as entertain.